In just 48 hours, we could see the start of the biggest altcoin pump of 2025. The countdown's ticking, and every single signal says the real explosion is about to begin. Forget everything that you thought you knew about how this cycle plays out. Today, everything changes. Congress announced Crypto Week, then voted against it. The regulators and Wall Street veterans can't get their phones to stop ringing. Nobody seems to know which way the market will break next, but that's exactly when fortunes get made. As we speak, Bitcoin is consolidating at new heights, and the countdown for the next 48 hours has already started. Power is up for grabs. Capital is moving in the fog. Whales have been cashing out a little, but new giants are loading up. The charts are wild. The headlines are filled with chaos and confusion. Now every player is waiting, watching, and hesitating, except for you, because you're here. This episode is your edge, ladies and gentlemen. I'm showing you the signal and the setups that'll help make sense of this market so that you aren't stuck like a deer in the headlights, not knowing if now is the time to enter or not. As Warren Buffett famously said, be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. And while the rest of the market is frozen in fear, I'm here to clear that fog and give you that conviction to strike when it matters most. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. And you already know how you can greatly help this channel. That is, destroy that like button. Now, yesterday started off shaky, with cautious traders taking profits and nerves running high. The CPI print rattled the market, and everyone was second guessing what those numbers might trigger next. Trump didn't let one bad CPI print slow him down though. Oh no. He fired off a call to the Fed, tweeting, "Consumer prices low. Bring down the Fed rate now." Right as the dust started to settle, rumors began spreading like wildfire on Capitol Hill. Jerome Powell is about to be fired, with calls from lawmakers like Representative Anna Paulina Luna warning that firing is imminent. Will he actually get fired? Probably not. But the formal hunt for Powell's replacement kicked off almost immediately. Political chaos is everywhere. The people who are supposed to be steering the ship are just adding to the confusion, and the markets are being left in the hands of whoever is bold enough to act while the headlines are still spinning in every direction. That's why you don't watch what they say. You watch what's happening on chain, the beauty of crypto. If you need proof that the market's already moving, just look at the blockchain. Bitcoin's demand is blowing past new supply at a pace I haven't seen in my entire life. When I went on Schwab Network this week, I broke down the supply shock that's driving the recent price action. Check this out.
And I'm throwing you a big question here, but what are you watching in terms of Bitcoin right now?
Thanks for having me here. So you said it right. I think you just mixed it up, that the demand is far out surpassing the supply. I mean, just in the last 30 days alone, retail bought 44% more Bitcoin than the miners actually emitted. So this is the sort of imbalance that kicks off legendary runs. The question is, will you wait for the government or the Fed to give you a green light? While confusion grips the headlines, what's happening on-chain tells a much clear story. In the last 24 hours, long-term Bitcoin holders, those who rode out years of volatility, have cashed out about $3.5 billion in profits. One of the largest profit-taking moments this year. Whales have been selling massive stacks on exchanges. But in my opinion, maybe this smart money is actually just rotating into ETH. We'll get into that in a little bit. On-chain, we're seeing some massive spikes in something called coin days destroyed, which tracks when older, untouched Bitcoin suddenly move. That's a signal that the smart money is getting active right as the next phase is about to begin. In plain English, the oldest and smartest players are stepping into the game right before the next big move. Should you be scared? Absolutely not. Long-term holders know how to play the game. They sell into strength when they believe the markets are about to head higher, not weakness. Just take a look at this chart. You see the blue line? That represents long-term holders, and when it dips, that's when they're selling into strength. But This also coincides with Bitcoin going on its most parabolic rallies and subsequently altcoin season as well. My personal belief is that this is a rotation for a lot of this money coming into Ethereum. Smart money who's been here for a long time, who knows how market cycles work. This is the time that they start rotating. And what we've seen recently over the past week is ETH outperforming. Now, as I said yesterday, it's still a little early for me to be full on convicted of altcoin season, but that's what we're going to get into in today's show. But also at the same time, of those $3.5 billion people selling out of Bitcoin from long-term holders, over $3 billion in new open interest was added above the $118,000 level. If that price goes back below that mark, a significant portion of those positions could be underwater. Why does this matter? These are basically FOMO longs aping at the highs that could be seeding the next liquidation sell-off. It's important to be aware of these things ahead of time so you don't get shaken out or surprised the next time BTC has an aggressive sell-off. Again, this is all part of these bullbacks, which we talked about yesterday. OTC and exchanges selling contributed to a sharp 6% pullback from Bitcoin's new all-time high. For many, this looked like a reason to panic. Not you guys though, right? Because you watch this channel daily. But I've seen this happen in every cycle so far. Profit taking and short-term volatility often clears the path for a new phase of market expansion. This is where weak hands tend to leave, while the next wave of diamond-handed holders line up to take their place. And the market sets the floor for the next leg higher. We can confirm this with on-chain data, where things are still relatively calm under the surface. This chart is tracking how much old Bitcoin, or coins that haven't moved in many months or even years, suddenly starts moving as a percent of all activity. Big spikes mean a lot of old coins are being spent, a sign long-term holders are selling, which is typical when the market gets overheated. These red circles show the last two times, March and December in 2024, when the market was overheating. You can see the orange area spikes up high. That means a lot of old coins were moving as people were cashing out. The green circle shows what's happening now, July 2025. The orange area is still much lower. This means not only many old coins are moving, but most investors are just holding their Bitcoin. We have definitely seen some profit taking recently, which explains the dip, but nowhere near the levels that would make me worry that this bull run is even close to over. That means we have more upside ahead. And guys, where are we in the market? I know some people are saying that this might have been the top, right? We had this crazy run up. We're nowhere near the top. I actually made a video, I'll put it in the description down below, of the signals, the clear signals of when the top is likely in that have matched up perfectly with every previous market cycle top. You definitely want to see that video if you haven't checked it out already. But also, we'll be watching all those signals too on this channel. So make sure they're subscribed and that you're watching these shows daily, because we're going to be watching like a hawk for when these signals start flashing that maybe the bull market is coming to an end. But for now, we're nowhere near that. Now let's talk about the real force that's been changing everything that we thought we knew about market cycles. Wall Street's arrival is no secret if you've been watching this channel. Standard Chartered, a global banking giant with over $400 billion in assets under management, just launched spot Bitcoin and Ethereum trading for institutional clients through its UK branch. That's a financial titan, making it official. The gate to institutional money is wide open. And it goes even further. In the boardrooms, Bitcoin treasury companies have found what can only be described as a money glitch, with MicroStrategy recently borrowing at rates below 0.5%, while real interest rates run multiples higher. In simple terms, they're locking in dirt cheap loans to load up on Bitcoin, while everyone else pays much more money to borrow. It's the ultimate financial shortcut. Buy more Bitcoin with other people's money and keep nearly all the upside. Man, I'm doing the same kind of strategy as you guys probably know on Aave, but I'm paying like, it's a variable rate that I chose to do. They have a fixed rate and a variable rate. I chose a variable rate, and usually it's lower than the fixed rate. Sometimes it spikes, but I'm paying on average like between 5 and 8% a year to borrow my money. So Sailor And the TradFi world is getting much cheaper money to borrow. Let me ask you guys this question. Do you think Saylor will ever stop buying Bitcoin? I doubt it. And when institutions around the world see his success and adopt his formula, which they've already started to do over the past year, that's when the whole game changes. And if you want more proof, look at Cantor Fitzgerald. They're about to drop $4 billion into Bitcoin through a SPAC deal with Blockstream's Adam Back, grabbing over 30,000 Bitcoin for a new public holding company. If this lands, which it will, Cantor's crypto exposure could hit $10 billion by the end of the year. And why do I say it will? Because this is Howard Lutnick. You know, the guy who's always on TV with Trump. This guy is like best BFFs. When it comes down to raising money, Cantor is already a G, and this deal will get done. That's just one more massive Bitcoin treasury company adding to the already massive stack of crypto treasury companies that we can't even keep track of. Wall Street's crypto obsession is going full throttle, but we're still early in this adoption phase, regardless of the price you see today, because I hope you know there is no price ceiling for Bitcoin in a world where the value of fiat has no floor. Before we move on to all the drama in DC regarding the crypto bills, just a quick word from our channel sponsors. You ever felt crypto rich, but your bank account tells a different story? That's me. Forever, right? My portfolio looked great, but when it came down to actually pay for things like dinner, flights, or just a coffee, moving money around was always a hassle. Then I found and started using Xapo. With a Xapo card, I can load it up with Bitcoin or stablecoins or whatever, and I can spend them anywhere Visa's accepted. Plus, it comes with a premium feeling metal black card so you can flex and show your friends that you got the black card. No need to sell my crypto, no complicated transfers, just tap and go. High limits, actual real exchange rates, and up to 1% Bitcoin cash back on everything that you spend. That's sick. Suddenly, my digital wealth feels a lot more real. Plus, if you sign up with my referral link and become a member, you save $500. If you're done feeling crypto rich but cash poor, try Xapo. Hit the link in the description below, get your Xapo card, and unlock your crypto for real life today. If you ever feel like you're missing the next big moves, these days, it's not just coins pumping. Some of the biggest opportunities are coming from public companies adding crypto to their treasuries. That's why I'm using Kraken. With Kraken, you can get access to over 11,000 assets, crypto, stocks, ETFs, all in one secure, easy-to-use dashboard. My favorite thing about Kraken is the fact that they've never been hacked. Since 2011, I think is when they started. Kraken makes it simple. Sign up in minutes, fund instantly, and trade in seconds with industry-leading security, proof of reserves, and 24/7 human support. So guys, click that link in the description below. Thank you again, Kraken and Xapo, for sponsoring this video. You guys make it so we can bring high-quality sponsors. I'm actually proud to bring you guys. And a full disclaimer on behalf of Kraken and Xapo, this is not financial advice. It's for educational purposes only. Okay, back to the show. It should be no surprise that the political machine has found a way to grind forward and then stall at the most critical moment. Momentum around the crypto bills hit a wall when 210 Democrats and 13 Republicans joined forces to block all three measures in the House. What the heck, guys? For a moment, it looked like everything was on hold, but what happened next shows how quickly the story can turn in Washington. Right after the failed vote, Trump called 11 Republican lawmakers who voted no into the Oval Office. Guys, get in here. Let's talk. We got to talk about this. In a single meeting, he convinced them to flip their position. Speaker Johnson joined a call and backed the move. By the end of the meeting, those lawmakers were on board. What did Trump tell them in the meeting? Let me know in the comments below. And a new vote was scheduled it'll be actually happening by the time you guys watch this. This is a clear signal that the highest levels of political power are stepping in to shape the future of digital assets. And it also shows you that Trump is actually dedicated and adamant about making America the crypto capital of the world. And while politicians keep arguing and the market chops sideways, something big is setting up. Do you guys remember at the end of last year when it seemed like every altcoin was going parabolic and we all felt pretty rich? Well, That rally started with a single signal, the Altseason index. And right now it's flashing 35. The same zone it was at just before the November 2024 altcoin explosion. And if we see that number break higher, the next wave of altcoin momentum could hit before anyone has time to react. The ETH BTC ratio, which measures Ethereum's price relative to Bitcoin, is now retesting the same level that kicked off the last alt season in 2021. Technicals are lining up for a bullish breakout. RSI, a technical indicator measuring the relative strength of an asset based on price momentum, is signaling higher. On the monthly chart, price is pressing up against a major resistance like a compressed spring ready to fire. One of the most important charts to watch when it comes to altcoin season is Bitcoin dominance, and it's finally starting to fall. This chart tracks how much of the crypto market's total value is in Bitcoin versus everything else. When Bitcoin dominance drops, it's a classic trigger that marks the beginning of every major alt season, including in 2017 and 2021. In those cycles, Bitcoin led the rally first, and as soon as its dominance started to roll over, money would rotate into Ethereum and then the rest of the altcoins. We're seeing the same pattern now in 2025, but now with even more capital in play. Here's why this moment stands out. Over the past year, Bitcoin outperformed the rest of the crypto market. Altcoins are weak relative to Bitcoin because a wave of fresh institutional money was pouring almost entirely into Bitcoin. Institutional capital is now officially here. Even conservative funds are starting to allocate at least 1% of their assets under management into Bitcoin. If just 1% of US institutional capital moves in, that's around $300 billion in potential buying pressure. The global potential, which is coming, is over $1 trillion. It's a proven rotation. Bitcoin runs first, then Ethereum Bitcoin pair starts to reverse, and then the rest of the altcoin market catches fire. Remember, even though you might prefer Solana or Sui or any other L1s, Ethereum is the big daddy altcoin, and when it runs, it sets the pace for everything else. You guys know the path by now to alt season. First Bitcoin, then Ethereum, then large caps, then small caps, then micro caps. That's the rotation. The fact that ETH has just overtaken Bitcoin for 24-hour mind share just confirms my suspicion that we are in the overlap before phase 2 in the path to alt season right now. But what really sets the cycle apart is who's driving it. Publicly traded companies are now among the largest holders of Ethereum. SharpLink Gaming just surpassed the Ethereum Foundation as the biggest public ETH holder, and they just purchased another $19.5 million worth of Ethereum today, while Bit Digital raised $67 million specifically to buy more ETH for its treasury. Solana just set an all-time high for network activity, with 61% of all blockchain transactions taking place on Solana last week, an explosion of real usage. This is what happens when alt season goes institutional and the rotation starts to happen from the top down. All right, let's get tactical. Right now, DeFi is heating up again. I've been tracking the on-chain flywheels all week, and I want you to see how quickly everything can change. Pump, the token from Pump Fund, just fired off a $1.8 million buyback in less than 15 minutes, and then did a TWAP, which is just averaging, dollar cost averaging in, another $3 million, fueled by $1.34 million in daily protocol fees, with only 33% supply circulating and $2 billion in the treasury. This team seems to be running a masterclass in capital deployment. Imagine a war chest sitting on the edge of the battlefield, and every buyback is another cannon firing in real time. The numbers are wild. Pump's market cap to earnings is sitting well below Hyperliquid and Jupiter, even after the early profit takers banked 50% returns right out of the gate. But am I buying Pump? No. I'll show you why. Let me show you this. So this, my friends, is a very good Dune dashboard called the Meme Coin Wars. Right? And orange is Bonk, and green is Pump Fund down here. And what you can see since we started talking about this, when we made the bonk video last week, which by the way, it's up tremendously. Look, it's at $3.1 billion. You're almost up 2x since we talked about it last week, essentially, right? And I took an even bigger position after confirming, because remember when I made that video, I told you that Let's Bonk, the pump fund competitor, had only overtaken pump fund for one day when we made that video. What I wanted to see, and I told you in the video, was I wanted to see a confirmation that this wasn't an anomaly, but potentially a trend. Now, if we go back here and look at on the daily, look what you see here. The orange is bonk, or Let's Bonk, outperforming market share from pump fund. Daily graduates, or the amount of tokens that actually make it through the gate onto the real market, vastly outperforming pump fund. Volume of tokens in 24-hour period launched on bonk fund versus pump fund, 82 billion on bonk versus 76 on pump. Volume outperforming bonk to pump fund. 24-hour revenue on bonk versus pump fund. It's beating it again. And not just one day, but almost every single day for the past week or so. To me, this looks like a trend is developing, and you guys are seeing it here first. Now, what else is super interesting? Well, even though we just said pump is putting money back into buy pressure, bonk started as a meme coin, and it became the biggest meme coin on Solana because it built such a large community of loyal, cult-like community. They were able to launch a pump fund competitor when many others tried and failed. But it seems like Let's Bonk is actually making serious traction and progress. And here's a big difference. Because pump fund has a bunch of VCs that hold the equity now, they're only doing a 25% revenue buyback structure. When bonk, Let's Bonk is doing 50% revenue buyback. So in this past 24 hours, 25% of this, or about $200,000 from pump fund, would be used to buy back and burn, when there would be actually almost $600,000, almost a 3x on bonk. To me, that's a pretty clear signal. I like community-run things. I like the narrative that's the biggest meme coin on Solana outside of Trump, but Trump's an anomaly, but the biggest true meme coin. And now it's built this picks and shovels of the crap coin community, or the shitcoin casino. And I like owning the picks and shovels. So I made an allocation. As you guys know, actually, the first time we mentioned bonk was like when it was 155 million, right? Or actually, no, cheaper than that. I showed you guys in the video the other day. And I've continued to allocate toward it since. And just today, before I made this video, put even more money into it after seeing this confirmation that I told you I was looking for. And the last thing I'll say is look at the valuations. Pump fund is at a $6.5 billion valuation, and bonk is still at 3. So it's still like a little bit over 2x just to get to where pump fund is, and it deserves to be higher than pump, in my opinion. Another thing, guys, is that we have really, really, really big news coming out of Commonwealth. Now, check this out. They just made this post on X. It says, you're about to invest in the company making mobile nuclear power real. Now, if you guys know, Trump made this executive order to essentially rip off all the regulatory red tape from the nuclear industry. And as you know, these data centers for AI and Bitcoin mining and other things need way more energy. And the demand for energy in the United States needs to at least 2 or 3x over the next several years as these massive factories start producing and demanding more energy. Now, nuclear is the clear path forward, and Trump made that explicitly clear. So I've been doing a lot of due diligence on opportunities in the non-crypto space, and some of these things are absolutely skyrocketing. You've got companies like Andreal, which went from like nothing to tens and tens and tens of billions of dollars seemingly overnight. Figure AI went from several hundred million valuation to 40 billion almost overnight. Now, nuclear, this company Hadron, which is being offered by Commonwealth starting tomorrow, is producing essentially the gigafactory for small, what they call micro modular reactors. This is an amazing industry that once these things go public, everything else in the nuclear space hits multi-billion-dollar valuations. And this is being offered to you guys, which is historically in the world of the history of the world. Never have you been offered, because it's always kept the 99% out. Remember, that's the goal of Commonwealth, is to allow you guys, the retail, to invest in a company like Hadron with $10, $20, $1,000, 10,000, whatever you want, right? And this is opening it up to all the wealth holders tomorrow and the next day for everybody else. And I've been doing due diligence on this for a while. I'm very, very excited. These guys are producing the gigafactory for these micro modular reactors, can be deployed all over the world on the back of a pickup truck and just boop, popped and deployed. Contrary to every other nuclear plant that takes like 10 years to build, these huge ones, yes, they can power millions of homes, but these things are going to be needed at all these data centers, everywhere where electricity is needed. So I'm going to be doing an AMA with Commonwealth as well, I think this week at some point. You guys can come in there and ask me questions about the deal. I brought this to Commonwealth because I'm going to invest into it personally. Very, very excited about this one. So go check it out. And by the way, Commonwealth is rebranding to Wealth. And so if you want to go to the website, it's just WLTH, which is the ticker, wealth.xyz. So here's the real question. What are you going to do in the next 48 hours? You've watched the whales move. You've seen Wall Street kick the doors open. And you're standing at the edge of the moment that only comes around once every 4 years. Right now, the strategy is crystal clear. The next 1 to 2 months are primed for altcoin strength. But this window won't reward hesitation. If Bitcoin rips toward $150,000, which it will, every top 50 coin is lined up for a catch-up rally that could surprise even the most hardened OGs. Here's how I'm going to play this window. I'm holding high conviction coins and watching for confirmation signals like BTC dominance coming down, the ETH BTC ratio showing strength, and that first spike of on-chain volume that always happens before a real rotation. I'm moving like a sniper. The market doesn't care about last cycle's winners. It's rewarding the ones who adapt in real time. And while most freeze, waiting for the perfect headline or the perfect signal, you're already ahead because you guys are here, now seeing the full picture before it becomes consensus. Remember, this isn't 2017 or 2021, but the opportunity for asymmetric returns is still very real. The game now belongs to those who are early, nimble, and prepared. If you're looking for my exact altcoin plays, make sure that you guys are subscribed and have notifications on because the alpha will be coming in hot and heavy over the next few weeks. If you're still wondering if this Bitcoin rally is real or not, Wall Street just released a target of $350,000. And if you want to hear more about it, just click on the link at the end of the video. It should be somewhere around here. Drop your strategy in the comments, guys. Let me know what you're rotating into, what I'm missing. I want this channel to be the sharpest community of early movers anywhere on YouTube. The countdown is running, and the best stories never wait for permission. So guys, stay early, stay sharp, stay relentless, continue to stack your sats, your Ethereum, maybe a little bit of bonk now. When the next history-making candle rips across the screen, you'll know you were here before the rest of the world even woke up. Guys, let's win this cycle together. And that's it for today, guys. Until next time, see ya.